You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
You're muted, sir.
Darn, why does this keep happening? All right.
I don't know.
Let's try that again. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 122 of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Thursday, May 18th, 2023, and it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge, and for some reason, we didn't get the rain here yesterday that was expected. Oh, well. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Good morning, Kit Hugh. Good morning, Kit Mohan, Kit Grappling, Kit Ellen, Kit Linda M. Good morning, Kit Jillian and Kit Dan. Good morning, Kit Elaine and Kit Ellen and Kit Janet. Lovely to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Thursday morning nibble for you, but first, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask him, sir, how's your mental health today?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I am what I am. I am what I am. I'm
what I am, and what I am, and I'm Popeye.
Popeye the Sailor Man. Yeah, I really had a hard time waking up this morning. I just, honest to goodness, the alarm went off at 5:10, till 6:30. I just laid in bed and kept hitting snooze. I just couldn't wake up this morning. And I get up to realize that I didn't make coffee, so I've got half a cup of coffee. So I didn't really have time to make coffee. So it's like, well, I'll just have to wait till I get into the office. I'll just be dragging my butt. But it's a very busy day ahead for me. We've got another day 2 of a very big production we're doing at work. So hopefully things go a little smoother than yesterday. Technical hiccups, but that's the nature of a live production. There's always things that go a little bit askew at the last minute, you know. And so I'm in good spirits. I'm just really tired. Just really tired. That's it.
I'm in the same boat. I'm really tired. The 2 nights before last night was short, and then last night we were celebrating my sweetie, so that it was another short night. So it's 3 in a row. My eyes are burning right now as we're talking, and I'm moving a little slow. Kit Tavi G, Beaver just needs a magic mirror. I always wanted to hear my name when I was a kid, but nope. Oh, well,
Yeah,
there you go. Taffy G. I
there
see
you
you.
go.
We have Kit Dan that started up
I
with.
don't think Fran ever called my name.
Yeah, she never called mine either.
Yeah.
We got Kit Dan that put out the comment, gotta get up, gotta get up. And when I hear that, all I can think of is that Black Box song, Right on Time.
Yeah.
Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up.
Vocals by
Lilita Holloway.
Lolita Holloway, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, the legendary Lilita Holloway.
Who was ripped off by a lot of artists for a long time as presenting their work as theirs when it was always hers.
Yes.
Let's face it, that woman's got the pipes.
She can just open. I saw an interview with her once, and it's like you could just open your mouth and do that. And she just sat there and like, right on time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
she doesn't need a warm up. It's just a natural gift.
Yeah, it's just love that. There's nothing like being in the club and.
So we should give a shout out to Hugh and the gang who are doing what is the 20th annual fish fry, I think.
Yes,
doing that this morning, and it's a charity. Boy, I can't mumble. It's a charity event, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, he says they've cleared over $2,000 yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, so good. Now we face a mountain of dishes.
What was yesterday? I thought it was today.
Yeah. No. And somebody, and then somebody's talking about beaver tails. Yes, and of course, yesterday too, we missed it, but it was the International Day against transphobia, homophobia, and biphobia. So
that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Yep.
Wow.
So I mean, I assume I saw stuff across my Twitter feed that from 19 hours ago. So I assume it's yesterday. Maybe it was for today. I don't actually know to be dead, but I think it was yesterday because I think I remember Pete putting the hashtag IDAHOBIT or something like that, which is International Day Against Homophobia. And it comes to IDAHOBIT or something. So yeah. So to all my fellow rainbow people, we see you. Glad you're here. Stick around.
Cheers to you.
Yeah. All right. In the headlines, there's lots going on. The PM is in Asia. Canada's still burning. Inflation numbers are out. We have a lot to touch on.
Did you see the thing that came across Nate's feed? Nate Pike, his feed.
There was. To be totally honest, I'm a little behind because yesterday was about my sweetie in rehearsal. But I think I know what you're talking about
about the firefighters.
Yeah.
Brutal. There's people who have they get paid. They volunteered to fight the fire, but they do get paid. But so they've been sitting around ready to go for a week, and nobody's tasked them out anywhere. And this is a crew of firefighters prepared to fight the wildfires in Alberta, literally sitting around waiting for instructions to go somewhere. Now, you have to understand when they volunteer for this, like I said, they get paid to fight the wildfires, but when they volunteer, it means they're taking time off of their.
Yes.
They're not getting paid right now. They're sitting around waiting to be tasked out, not getting paid because they're not fighting the fire. They only get paid when they fight the fire. Kind of like how flight attendants don't get paid while the aircraft is loading. They only get paid when the doors close and they push away from the jetway. So they don't get paid until they start to fight the fires. So they're sitting around waiting to go out and fight the fires, but nobody's tasking them out. So Alberta is burning while Danielle's fiddling. Literally burning while Danielle's fiddling.
Yeah. And I think that that's the situation that we're faced at the moment, is that with the premier, we're in a situation where the question is, or the election question. Now, this is one of the reasons, for example, I keep on saying I like longer elections than 28 days. Because this one happened as the fires were starting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are other topics to discuss in this election. I'm sure, for example, the people in Calgary who are not particularly threatened by the fires right now.
The smoke is there, though.
The smoke's there. but they're not particularly threatened by the fires. And that's the battleground. So you've got two premiers still trying to hold an election. You got Elections Alberta saying there's no way we're changing the date of this election unless something way more catastrophic happens. In certain areas that are affected, there'll probably be changes in terms of polling dates and polling stations at which people can vote and all that kind of stuff. But for the overall majority of the province, their ability to vote is not going to be affected by this. So you've
Right.
got a situation where the only subject really being talked about is the wildfires, and you basically got the election question basically becomes, how is Danielle Smith in an emergency? And unless she completely and totally screws the pooch, she basically has a 28-day platform to look completely statesmanlike.
And
Well, the other person. Now, whether or not she's doing this successfully or not is one thing. But if that one was a 50-something day election, they'd be able to talk more about more than just the fire. And you'd be able to see Danielle Smith more than just 28 days. You can sort of wallpaper over stuff for 28 days.
well, and there,
Maybe. This one's a little harder because this is a particularly hotter and more intense blaze than a lot of people have expected. But yeah, I mean, you got the campaign question right now is, how is she an emergency? And people are getting to see her in action. And there are certain communities that are saying it's like there's no planning. It's like we've been abandoned. You've got these pictures of the firefighters. You've got her bragging in the initial days of telling people on the inside that they got a little insider information, like forest fire when evacuation orders were stock tips or something. I mean, it doesn't look that great, but then on the other hand, there are 2,500 firefighters across the ground, on the ground all over the place, and she's calling in for help from other places, and they're coming in, and at least she's not being her usual self with regard to the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister on his way to Asia actually planned a stop in Edmonton that was not originally planned to stop, and talk to the people taking care of the fires over there and get an update on the situation before going. And he did meet with Premier Smith at that time. Now, normally you would expect a Conservative Premier to go, I can't believe he didn't have time, but she was like, nope, we're all good, and he's given us everything that we've asked for, which I did not expect from her. To be totally honest, given that there are a whole bunch of people saying that they're like one step away from saying he personally was in the force lighting a match. Right? So, yeah, we'll see how this works out for her, but it's not a context in which Rachel Notley has an opportunity to be her best at this, because Smith has this platform as the premier. And she can't compete with that. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. You have different polling, like we talked about. We've got Abacus, and we've got council polling saying that the NDP have a 10% lead. You have other polling that say that it's the UCP that have an 8 to 6% lead. But in one of them, which was really interesting, one of the polling companies that reported just yesterday, I believe, showing that the UCP had a big lead overall. The data still showed, however, that in Calgary, even though it was Angus Reid, I'll show it here for you, Mr. Grizzly, because it's a little easier if I show it. And I'm sorry for people at home, but we have a graph here that has 4 bars. We have leaning and decided voters, and in that one it says the UCP's got a 51 to 43 margin with Angus Reid. In Calgary specifically, though, it shows that the NDP is leading 49 to 46, and that's the battleground. In Edmonton, the NDP is leading 56 to 38, and then Alberta, other than Calgary and Edmonton, the UCP is leading 64 to 31.
Oh boy, I'm going to have a trouble saying this. Rural battleground.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, rural goes UCP, Edmonton goes NDP by wide margin, and then the battleground is Calgary. And right now, it looks that Calgary is going NDP by a small margin. even though the UCP leads provincially by 8%.
Mm.
That's why you can't look at the top line numbers, right? You got to look at the regions, got to look at the districts, and the same thing happens federally. So even in a poll that shows the UCP leading by 8, if you break it down to Calgary. So
Yeah.
it's really impossible to tell who's actually got a lead, because you got one set of polling showing that the NDP is way far ahead, and you got a whole other side of polling that says the UCP is far ahead, but then you got to break it down into the Calgary numbers.
Did you ever think in your lifetime that a political provincial election, political provincial, of course it's political, Paul. Wow, see how tired I am. Did you ever think in your lifetime that a provincial election in the province of Alberta would have the NDP serious? I mean, I didn't think they'd ever win, and they did, but they're back once again, seriously challenging the current crop of, well, they want to call themselves conservatives, but they're not conservatives. They're not. They're not. When you have long-time conservative supporters in the province of Alberta, prominent members, prominent representatives coming out and saying, I'm voting NDP because these people are not conservative. They're not. And we keep saying it. We're going to keep saying it until people learn it. They are not progressive. They are not conservatives. They do not have your interests in mind. They don't.
And the one thing that I'm finding interesting is maybe they're being made and they're just being made locally, but I'm not hearing a lot of expressions of sympathy from anybody conservative for the people.
No.
I mean, I'm seeing Pierre go around blaming the government for starting the fire, but I'm not hearing anybody talking about, oh my God, Albertans, we need to do something for them. Apparently in Alberta, it took like 3 or 4 days for the UCP to actually mention the people who were suffering.
Well, this was the thing in the breakdown from Nate Parker. Please keep anonymous. The volunteer firefighter procurement is a complete mess. Fully cross-trained firefighters have been ready to go since last Monday. We were called by AEMA, Alberta Emergency Management. To confirm certifications, but received no job description, pay scale, deployment information, or timelines. We've had our bags packed and trucks ready for over a week, and we can't even get confirmation if our applications were approved or not. Some of us have lost thousands of dollars being on volunteer standby while the province burns. And here's another one from Jordan Wilkie. Jordan Wilkie is a MLA, Green Party MLA candidate in Edmonton, Rutherford, first responder, disaster manager. It's at Jordan, at Jordan for MLA. And he says, can confirm, since being on unpaid leave from my fire department, I put my name in to pause my campaign and fight these fires. Government of Alberta called, checked off all the boxes for skills and training. I was told I would go, would be contacted by AEMA, prepared myself and family, then nothing. This is not good. This is remember, I get that, I get that there's a campaign going on, but really, couldn't they just literally pause the campaign right now? And Danielle Smith should be saying, okay, look, I can't campaign right now. I need to see that our people are taken care of. She's not doing that.
I know. And here's the thing, right? Meanwhile, in Ottawa, you have the Conservatives besides themselves, completely apoplectic, that the Prime Minister dared to take a trip to Asia to go to the G7. He's jet-setting and hobnobbing it.
And if he didn't go, they'd shit all over him for not going.
Right. But when it comes to talking about their provincial French-kissing cousins...
Yeah, no, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Curious. Just curious. Speaking of things that might be difficult for Conservatives, so he's got Danielle, who he's, not trying to take on, I guess, as part of some of the smell and the taint onto him. But there's another thing going on with, guess who's back? Back again. Bernier's back. Tell a friend. With him running in Manitoba. Now, you have to wonder, right? Candice Bergen was winning that seat with 70%. Last time she got 50-something%, and I guess she got scared and didn't want to run again. So I
Because they
don't know if they're
realize
hearing
she's a
stuff on
fraud.
the ground. Well, that too. But I don't know if they're hearing stuff on the ground because, as Kit James said yesterday, right? It's or 2 days ago, it's an extremely strategic decision from Bernier to go there. It's very, very smart for him to do that politically. And it's a by-election, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen here, right? There could be less interest from the Conservatives because they've already got it. You can have a particularly motivated group, which are the anti-vax people, which was kind of interesting because they spent the entire pandemic wanting to move past where we were. And now that we are moved past where we were, they're still stuck there. This goes to show that the prison is the greatest mind, the greatest prison is the mind.
Oh, yeah.
So they're still stuck there. We've moved forward, and they're still stuck there. But if they really wanted to send a big FU to Trudeau, because I mean they bought the flags and they bought the bumper stickers and they bought the T-shirts, so I mean, wouldn't this be a perfect opportunity? It's a by-election. You're electing someone for only 2 years, and what better way to give a big FU to the Prime Minister than to elect Max rather than a Conservative? Even the Conservatives there might want to vote Max just to send an FU as a signal. But if that happens, then what happens to the Conservative Party? Turmoil.
Splintered. Yeah.
Splintered. How do they campaign? The last by-election in Ontario, Skippy knew that wasn't going to go his way. He didn't even bother to show up for his candidate at all. Will Skippy show up in the riding? Are we going to get a preview of what the next election is going to be, the PPC versus CPC battle? I mean,
for the extreme right wing,
the Liberals and the NDP don't really have a chance in that riding, so they can just sit back and take notes as they slug it out. So the question is, how hard is PP really going to fight for the seat? How involved is he going to get? How nasty is he going to try to outcompete Bernier on the cray?
Well, that's a very good question.
Because that will create hours of video for campaigns.
Oh, that just create content for us.
Kit James says Max and Bernier will be on Blackballed in 2 weeks, so I guess he decided to do your show.
He probably doesn't feel welcome here.
Yeah, he would have been very welcome. I mean, that's like, hey, we've had Bert Chen.
Yeah, Bert's a solid guy.
We've had Charles Adler.
Yeah.
Oh. We've had people that are conservative-minded on the show. They've always been very, very, very well received.
Well, and let's consider something, though. Charles Adler is a progressive individual, and
yes,
always
but there was a time.
Yeah,
where he was a little more strident.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I think he
had Michael Corrin, Reverend Michael Corrin, who made a complete change in his life.
Yeah,
right.
Because they've seen what this bowel movement, because I don't know what else to call it, because it is just a pile of fecal matter of the current crop of cons are doing to the country and doing to people who are just trying to live their lives.
So yeah, I mean, he would have been. Yeah, he would have. So he would have been very well received. We would have been extremely polite. I would have had some pointed questions. I would have asked about some inconsistencies that I see, but I wouldn't have been. Mm-hmm. You said. It wouldn't have been a cross-examination or anything.
No, of course not. Of course,
just explain this to me in terms I can understand because I just don't get it. Yeah. And and it's just Oh, James goes, oh snap! I haven't asked yet. I will. I promised. Oh, okay. We thought that you had asked, and he said, "No, but how about I do yours again?" I like yours.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to Bert Chen for a minute, and remember, Bert's a solid guy, guy, and he's a good person. And you have to remember that even though he to begin with, he's a progressive conservative, right? He believes in progressive policies. And which is why you and I, the line is this thin, and he's on one side, we're on the other. We're not far apart.
No.
Because he's progressive, centrist progressive. Yeah. Conservative for sure, but doesn't believe in harming people for the sake of harming them.
Right.
Which is what we currently have right now. And of course, what's Pierre doing with people who have addictions, using them as a cudgel? Because he's got no policy.
No.
He's got no policy that'll do anything good. It will harm people. Yeah. So, pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
So the Bertrand interview was well done. Perhaps people should go back and listen to it if you haven't. Thank you very much, Kit Linda. Yes. Okay,
It's an
James, as
audio
it comes,
only.
I will get Bernie on your show. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I and just a quick little note on Alberta. At the moment, the wildfires, of course, are still blazing. There are last report I heard there were 92 wildfires, 26 of them out of control. A few days ago, that was 21 of them out of control. So things aren't getting better, and there are reports of new fires started up in Saskatchewan now, because there were some in the early days that were controlled in the first 3 days, and we hadn't heard more. But again, in Saskatchewan. So now I think I'm not sure the one in Nova Scotia has been put out yet. So if that one's still burning, we've got fires in Nova Scotia, in Saskatchewan, in Alberta, and British Columbia, and Northwest Territories, and flooding in BC and the Yukon. Yay! If we're not burning, we're drowning.
So we got the worst parts of the Bible right now, right? That's what we're going to.
Hey, locust scheduled for 5 p.m.
Okay, good to know. I'm previewing some disturbing video here on another screen that was just sent to me. I'm trying to make sense of it, and it's troubling. It's a traffic. So somebody is on the highway, and some, I guess, for want of a better term, redneck in a big Dodge pickup truck is rear-ending a guy at 100 kilometers an hour on the highway. And he's just darting in and out of traffic trying to get away.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I'm debating on whether or not I should post this. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe.
And you and I'll look at it and review it before we,
Because I mean, if it's just a tittillating thing, but there's no context to it, I don't see any reason.
Yeah, it's a road rage incident in Edmonton. Maybe I'll keep it in the folder for now. We'll have a look at it. But
one more thing about Alberta that's a little interesting, and there have been news about that about Ontario as well. But there's been something called the Alberta Surgical Initiative, which started about 3 years ago, and the Parkland Institute did a study of what's been going on in the last 3 years. Now, this Alberta Surgical Initiative was something where we're allowing more private delivery of public health care when it comes to surgeries in order to reduce wait times. Well, after 3 years, other than for cataract surgeries, wait times for other surgeries have not improved. Tim Caulfield, who teaches health law at the University of Calgary, says that moving to this method is usually more expensive, is not more efficient, and studies have repeatedly shown that doubling down on privately delivered care does not help. There were numbers similar to that in Ontario as well recently, which I have a ton of notes and I really wish I could find them. But the only thing I can do is look up Ontario through all my files, and that's not going to bring me right to it.
Yeah, that might take a little while.
But it was something like things were 150% more. So it's 1.5 times more expensive. And now that we have data from Alberta after 3 years, well, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a miserable failure is what it is. It has not improved the lives of anybody in the province. It's never going to work because it's a profit-motivated business, which means that people suffer just so they can get a few extra points.
Pretty much. So, there we go. February 21st, truth and cost behind public payment for private surgeries. For example, Ontario, whoops. Ooh, there we go. This was from the Toronto Star in February 2023. The truth and the costs behind public payment for private surgeries. To address long wait times for surgery, several provinces, most recently Ontario, have introduced projects to increase the supply of surgical services by delivering them in private facilities outside a public hospital. The initiatives do not explicitly violate the Canada Health Act because they do not permit for private payment, but they seek to foster a market for private clinics to perform publicly insured surgical procedures. Whether private delivery is helpful depends entirely on what problem we think we're trying to solve. There's no dispute that adding this additional capacity outside public hospitals will permit some people to access care faster, but there are legitimate questions about the impact on people who cannot access service in private facilities, or the sustainability of the already stressed public hospitals that are now forced to compete with private clinics under the system for nurses, anesthetists, provincial funding for surgical services, and that type of thing. Now there's a shortage of nurses, of course, which doesn't help. And so let's see, we've got some data here. It should surprise nobody that waits are long for knee replacements, for example, if the province funds only 30,000 or so procedures each year, but 35,000 people need them. While the provinces should be applauded for funding more surgical procedures, why restrict new funding solely to private enterprises when many public hospitals have the capacity to provide more surgery with additional funding? So basically, we have hospitals and the operating rooms are empty because they funded 300 knee surgeries for the year. And okay, we've done the 300. There's still the doctors, there's still the room. So instead of renting out the surgical rooms,
they just let them sit empty.
Like that, they just let them sit empty, and then they say, "Oh, well, private. Hey, if you build your own surgical thing, then we'll do that." All right. Surgery is not hugely profitable at current provincial funding rates. For example, Ontario pays hospitals just over $8,000 for the entire episode of care for a knee replacement, which includes an implantable prosthesis costing more than $2,500. These margins could not possibly excite potential investors in private clinics. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then March 14th, 2023, do private for-profit clinics save taxpayers money and reduce times? The data says no. So the Alberta initiative is the second one. There's a lot of talk these days. This is a CBC talk about the increased role for private healthcare clinics in Canada, sparked by Premier Doug Ford's plans to significantly increase the number of Ontario surgeries. Well, in fact, data from BC and other countries suggest private for-profit surgery clinics will likely increase the true cost of the taxpayer. According to Dr. Melanie Bichard, a pediatrician at CHEO, I honestly wouldn't know how to address questions about privatization without first asking if you mean financing or delivery. Now, that matters. For example, data obtained from the Canadian Institute for Health Information, or CIHI, shows that knee replacement surgery in a public hospital paid by the province costs about $10,000. The same surgery in a private clinic can reportedly cost patients up to $28,000.
28
versus
10,000.
So that's 280% increase.
Wow.
So that 280% increase is money. So you're 28,000, 10,000. So you're basically getting one for pretty much the price of three.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder they keep on going into Daddy Trudeau and go, I lost the money. Can I have more, please?
Yeah.
Why? I chose to pay 280% overpriced for it. Can I have more, please?
And
because I'm a conservative and I'm good with money.
See, that's the thing. They want to control the purse strings because they're good with money. You're good at giving it to wealthy people to make them wealthier. That's what they're good at.
And a cheeseburger, please? Can I have cookie too? Please?
God.
I manage money real good. Seriously. Seriously. Why pay 10,000 when you could pay 28?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good deal. Just like Alberta.
1 for 3 or 3 for 10.
Just like Daniel Smith with the arena. It was a $30 million spread that left. But hey, let's throw $300 million to cover a $30 million spread.
Yeah. I'm just going to pad the pockets of my wealthy friends here while they give them money to build a for-profit franchise that the public will pay for. That doesn't work for me.
It was like Nate said on their show, right? So like Daniel Smith went up to the owners and said, would you like to pay more? They said no. They went to the city. Would you like to pay more? And they said no. So then as they said, okay, we'll throw in more.
Yeah.
Gee, wow, you drove a real hard bargain there, Danny.
Yeah. The whole system is just so bloody corrupt. It's just such a freaking mess. And some days, and today is one of those days where I am exasperated at it all, because please tell me how it is that people who work for us, they are our public servants that we elected. Well, whether you voted for them or not, it's irrelevant because we, the people, elected them.
Right.
They just continue to rob us blind.
Yep.
Now, isn't that the definition of insanity, to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result when, well, it's just not going to happen?
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
End stage capitalism. I mean, we've been talking about late stage capitalism. I think you're right. This is end stage capitalism.
Yeah. And these numbers get better. In 2011, the Vancouver Island Health Authority dropped plans to outsource MRI scans because they were more expensive in the private for-profit sector. More recently, Fraser Health, one of the BC health authorities, purchased 2 private MRI outpatient clinics, bringing them back into the public system as part of the strategy to cut healthcare wait times. There you go. There you go. That's how you do it. In 2014, Quebec ended contracts with 2 private surgical centers for cataract and other surgeries because the cost per case were lower in the public system. So we've tried this before.
It didn't work.
Tried it before. And then we keep on saying, oops, that didn't work. It showed that Ontario, which wants to follow the lead of other provinces, actually had the shortest waiting times in Canada for hip and knee replacement surgeries in 2021-2022. 73% of Ontario's patients received knee replacement surgery within 6 months. So we're doing better. So he had to fix that. He's made decisions to bring us back down to the national average.
I've got
Thanks, Doug. By comparison, patients in provinces outsourcing surgeries to for-profit clinics waited longer. In British Columbia, only 70% of patients received knee replacements within 6 months, while in Alberta it was 53% and in Quebec 48%. Only in cataract surgery did Ontario lag behind, with 60% of surgeries being done within the 16-week benchmark.
I've got something here that's interesting that just came across my feed from the Globe and Mail.
All right.
Poilievre's jail not bail idea may not pass constitutional muster.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, a repeat violent offender newly arrested for another serious violent offense will have to serve their entire period in jail, he told reporters in Ottawa on Tuesday. Not bail, not early parole. That's common sense.
You can't do that.
Well, here's the thing. It's like Boris Bytansky, a criminal defense lawyer, said legislation that would deny some accused people access to bail hearings would not pass constitutional muster. Right. So this is the freedom guy, right? The freedom guy. He's going to make powerful paychecks, bring home. He wants to bring everything home. He wants to give you a powerful paycheck. He wants to remove the gatekeepers while being a gatekeeper, while denying you of constitutional rights that inmates do have.
Yes, his 3-word plan. Lock them up.
It doesn't work. It never has. It's been proven time and time again. We discussed it yesterday.
Remove the gatekeeper.
Christ.
Send me money.
And it's all these nanosecond wins that he gets that are falling on the ears of the people that are hearing the things they need to hear. They're hearing them from him. These are the things they need to hear. But the problem is they're not getting the whole story. They don't know the truth behind what he's trying to pull. And he's getting votes by lying to people, even though there's no election right now. But there are people who are ready to vote for him, even though they don't live in his riding, so they technically can't vote for him. They can vote for their conservative MP in their riding, wherever they are in the country. And they think they're voting for him. So they don't even understand how our system works to begin with, number one. And number two, they're not getting the whole story. They're not getting the truth. They're getting these little sound bites that makes him look like a winner or a victor. And people, a fellow that works with me said, I really like this guy and what he has to say. And I go, he's a bad man. He goes, really? He seems to really have his stuff. I'm like, no. Oh, no. So I sent him a bunch of articles and then he responded to me. He's like, holy crap, I had no idea. I go, of course you didn't, because you, like so many more people in this country, do not have the time to sit down and go through all the news articles. Mm-hmm. You get the highlights that are presented to you by conservative-run publications and media conglomerates that tell you what they want you to hear. You're not getting the full story. And it scares the living shit out of me. Because if this man ever were to become prime minister, say goodbye to Canada. Say goodbye to the country you know and love, because it will cease to exist under him. He will do exactly what Stephen Harper said. You won't recognize Canada when I'm done. Well, this rat bastard son of a gun, because I'm not going to call his mama B, will destroy this country.
Yep.
And he just keeps, the freedom guy, the remove the gatekeepers guy, wants to be a gatekeeper and wants to rob you of your freedom.
Yeah. Build more homes. Free up Bitcoin. 3-word slogans. I mean, look, we have it right here, Mr. Grizzly. Right here.
I don't see anything.
Right?
Oh, there we are.
Got it right there. It's like, out of touch
Trudeau NDP gives supposedly safe tax-funded drugs to addicts. The proof is in. The drugs are not safe. Addicts are reselling them to kids and using profits to buy deadly fentanyl.
No. The drugs are safe if they sell them and buy something else with it. It's the drugs they've bought that are not safe, not the drugs that they got.
My common sense plan: end tax-funded drugs, put dollars into rehab to bring our loved ones home drug-free.
That's not a plan.
No.
That's why people are getting suckered, though. Well, end tax-funded drugs, put dollars into rehab. They're like, well, yeah, that sounds great. But that's not a plan. That's not a plan. A plan has deadlines and dates and money and dollar amounts associated and strategies and tactical. That's not a plan.
No,
that is
he's
not
going to help anybody. He's going to lock them up and throw away the key. And we know that's never worked.
Right.
If it did, if it worked, if it actually worked, wouldn't America be the safest country in the world? Because they have the largest prison population. Oh, wait, that's the prison industrial complex where they use slave labor. Yeah, I said that because it's true.
It's true.
It's true, people. It's called the prison industrial complex for a reason.
Yeah.
For-profit prisons.
Yeah. And I've got one more data point on the healthcare thing that'll blow your mind. In one study, which tracked 7 years of outsourcing between 2013 and 2020 from Britain's National Health Service, the NHS, which is one of the better ones across the world, to the private sector, researchers found that every 1% increase in private for-profit services corresponded to deaths going up by 0.38% per 100,000 people. Based on that data, the researchers believe for-profit care could have been responsible for 547 excess deaths between 2014 and 2019. So it costs more, you don't get in faster, and you're more likely to die.
Yeah, that sounds like a winning plan. Not.
Can I have more of that?
When monkeys fly out of my butt.
Good
God. You know that under the NHS too, by the way, that also covers dental care. And remember John Lennon with the granny glasses, the round glasses? Those were issued by the NHS.
Yep.
So the NHS, if you need glasses, you will get glasses from the state. Are they the latest, most fat? No, but they function. And let's face it, I ordered a new pair of glasses the other day. I should receive them today. They cost me $170. That's not cheap, but it's affordable. I got the extra coatings, but I also ordered them from zennyoptical.com.
Yes.
Because if I tried to order them from my local optical dispensary, I was looking at almost $1,000.
Yep.
Because it's Luxottica that makes them, and they own 90% of the industry.
Right.
So, somebody who is disadvantaged, and I'm not advantaged, but, I can afford a $200 pair of glasses, but somebody who can't even afford that has to do without. Oh, and by the way, folks, for those who might not realize it, this is a mobility device.
Yes.
Just like a cane or a wheelchair or a walker or a scooter. This is a mobility device because I can't drive a car without it.
Right.
And walking without it, I can't see signs. This is a mobility device.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I need it.
Yep. Mr. Grizzly, do we have some time or?
I'm afraid no. We got to get rolling. Sorry about that.
No, okay,
sorry.
No, so we won't talk about.
We got lots of time tomorrow.
We'll save it for tomorrow. All right, kits. That's the end of our show today. we hope that you enjoyed listening to us, because we certainly enjoyed making this for you.
Even though we were very mellow this morning.
We were very yeah, you would think of reports that after seeing all this health data and all this health information that it's no good. They say, hey, let's do this anyway. It would have me slapping my tail against the water a little more this morning than it does.
Just we're exhausted. We're exhausted, but I'll be fired up tomorrow with a full carafe of coffee.
Trust me, I'm hopping up and down inside, kids.
Yes. Calm exterior.
Yes. Remember that sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So let your peeps know about us. And we have Dan saying, vote, 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 vote. Yes, please.
Thank you, Jillian.
Absolutely. What does Jillian say? Sorry.
Good luck at work, Paul.
Yes, indeed. Linda, more swearing. She sent us money so that we'll swear more. God damn it. There you go, Lynn.
Gold, darn it. I'll tell you what.
If you really like this bleeping podcast, you can bleeping find us on the Crier Media Network, as well as all bleeping Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and bleeping reviews are bleeping appreciated.
Do you like Dags? Dags? I like Dags.
We love to hear from you. You got Dan going, fuck shit, damn.
The 7 words you can't say on television. Now you can.
We really love to hear from you, shithead. So please reach us. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We really love to hear from you. So please reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, on our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver.gmail.com. You can subscribe via podpage, podpage.com, the True North Eager Beaver. You got Kid Dan apologizing to your mom now. For dropping the F-bomb in the chat and making me read it. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? Kit Elaine, I'm sure, will tell you to smash that button and subscribe. And if you happen not to be listening to us on our YouTube channel, if you could go there and click the subscribe button, well, that's very helpful. So do the neighborly thing, would you? Thanks. I'm not sure if I gave the address for the pod page. So it's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if I had, then, well, the address is so nice I gave it to you twice. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show for you this morning, well, you can scan that little thing that will just magically appear. Boom. There you go. See how I do that? Magic hands. Right by Mr. Grizzly's head.
Mr. Dress Up.
And that will take you to our emergency hot chocolate Guinness Caesar coffee fund, because we need to keep hydrated. And that's our staff, right? It's our staff. Keeps us fueled. And if you're listening, well, then you go to coffee, ko-fi or Ko-fi. ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. And that's where you can make your donation to make sure that, well, we don't get parched before our show tomorrow. So that would be a terrible thing.
This is true.
That would be a terrible thing. All right. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kitties and cubbies, it can be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And a special note today, for people who may be struggling a little more than usual. I've had some exchanges with some friends who are going through some very, 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 very tough times. And the world's a better place with you in it.
Please stick around.
You're loved. You're needed.
Stick around.
It gets better.
It does. It's tough. I get it. I really do. But please stay with us. And if you need a friend to talk to, I'm right here.
Yeah. And my life would be way, way poorer without you in it. I know it sounds selfish on my part.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah.
It would be. So, if any of you are going through this at this moment, there is help. Please reach out. Do not suffer in silence. Talk to someone. pick up a help phone line, call a friend, but talk it through and keep talking.
Get through.
Keep talking until the moment passes. Don't shut up. Just keep talking.
Yeah.
All right.
And remember, and this is important, if your mind is so occupied by what it is that you're going through and you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to. You can talk about whatever you need to get through that moment. I know. I've lived it hundreds of times. I'll live it again. Keyword here is live it.
Yeah. And if the motivation is, motivation's tough, but if you can, get out there and get some physical exercise. It's one of
It
the
helps.
best things that
It
you
does.
can do. All right. Something that
And
brings you
laugh.
joy and something that keeps you moving. All right. I love you. All right. Mr. Grizzly, please roll the credits.
You got to find him. Sorry.
Okay.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Thank you to all the kids who have been wishing a happy birthday to my beaver sweetie. Thank you so much. You're so great. I love you guys.
I'm really hungry right now.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm at that. You ever get that? You ever get so hungry that you feel nauseous?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where I am.
That
right
is
now.
not
It's
a
like,
good feeling.
no, I'm starving, but if I eat anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at food right now, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. I'm very
but I'm
familiar
starving.
with that feeling. Not a
I'm
good.
right there right now. No,
Oh God, I'm sending you good vibes, my friend.
I think the walk to work will help. All right,
All right.
see ya.
Bye, everyone.
Oopsie.
You're getting good at this, man.
I'm really.